Tal Hartoz, he is a Israeli survivor of 20. She is an Israeli survivor of 2010 Hamas attack. Tal, it's heartbreaking to see what's happening on both the sides because we are seeing the humanitarian crisis unfold.
I didn't actually hear your last sentence. I do apologize.
We are seeing a humanitarian crisis because it is the human cost of this war which we are discussing right now.
Yes, of course. I mean, the humanitarian crisis of the hostages from all over the world being held by these barbarians is beyond belief. And the butchery of Jewish people just for being Jews, where their corpses are still strewn out all over the land of Israel. We're in total shock about this. So it's definitely a humanitarian crisis, which, excuse me, which is an interesting word of choice, because I heard your previous lady, the Palestinian lady, speaking about saying that Gaza doesn't have this and this and this. And, there was a World Relief Fund set up for Palestinian refugees called UNRWA. And they've been the recipient of billions of dollars, and they've been there for years. And I have to ask, what have they been doing with their money? Where has all their money gone? Why hasn't these innocent civilians, Palestinian civilians, been equipped with the basic human dignity that they need? Why would that be? I mean, that's really is a humanitarian crisis. And I think shame on UNRWA, absolutely shame on UNRWA. Just as a side note, I don't know what access this Palestinian lady has to the news, but we didn't start this. If I can just remind your viewers that it was on a Shabbat morning, our holy day, where these savages broke into villages, all right, and they murdered women and children. Now, I'm not quite sure what people expect, how people expect Israel to respond. I'd like to think it through with you. And I've already heard of that there are, how do you say, there's a phrase in English called whataboutism. And it's almost like when you give people a platform who will accuse Israel for these atrocities instead of actually doing soul checking themselves, something a bit morally askewed by giving people this a platform. I mean, I've even heard in the last few days, like, when you have babies beheaded, they beheaded 40 of our babies. And then people will say, well, what about the violation of human rights in Gaza? What about that we don't have hospitals? So what we're really saying, right, is, that's why babies were beheaded. I don't buy it. And let me tell you this with all due respect, okay? I was held hostage by machete-wielding Palestinian terrorists, okay, who murdered my Christian friend in front of my eyes because they thought she was Jewish. They stabbed me 13 times. They broke 40 bones. They shouted Allahu Akbar and Ikhbahu al Yod, and that lady will understand what that means. God, Allah is great, and slaughtered the Jews. They did not mention Palestine. And I'm telling you something else, if I may. I would be very happy to send some footage taken by the Israeli police when they take these people back to the scene of the crime. And they say, the interview, it's not actors, it's the real murderers. They say this: why did you choose this place? He answers, we wanted to kill. Kill who? Kill Jews. Why? No reason. I'm happy to send you that. And so what we're talking about, we're not talking about a conflict about land. We are talking about, since the 7th century, pogroms and butcherings committed by radical Islamists on both Christian communities and Jewish communities. And yes, it's an Israeli Muslim surgeon who saved my life. I tell you another thing. I can understand how frustrating it must be for people in Gaza. I get that, because I myself was frustrated. I saw my friend murdered. That's kind of frustrating. I lost my health. I lost the dignity to provide for myself. I lost all my possessions because I couldn't provide for myself. I lost my self-respect for just having a normal kind of life and always needing help. I lost routine. I lost sleep. I lost the engaging with the mundane, and I am frustrated. I hope you can understand that. But the difference between me and these people claiming perpetual victimhood instead of taking responsibility, the difference is this: I did not take out my frustrations by pouncing on innocent Palestinians, tying them up and hacking them to death. On the contrary, I work with a Palestinian Muslim in a refugee camp. We work together. I use my own resources. Why? In order that we can teach children, help Palestinian children learn English and computer skills to equip them for life, so these filthy, heinous monsters of human beings will not take children, Palestinian children,
Absolutely.
and groom them for their death.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Tal Hartouz, there,
My
survivor
privilege. Just
of
spread it
2010
around.
Hamas attack.